Greetings, everyone. Welcome to Chosen Lifelines for Men. My name is Walter Jennings, your chosen life practitioner, where I have been called to challenge and, if necessary, change the motivation, mentality, and mettle of men. Today, I want to spend a couple of minutes talking about what it means to have a mentality of greed. And we don't have to look very far in our world to see that there are many leaders, many individuals who we would deem as being successful that seem to have a greed mentality. It has become the bane of our society and something that is a detriment to many of us. And so psychology today defines greed as the chaotic desire for more than is decent or deserved, not for the greater good, but for one's own selfish interest and at the detriment of others and society at large. These are individuals that are not concerned about the well-being of others. They're not concerned about how their actions or what they're pursuing is ultimately impacting society. The only thing that they are concerned with is exactly what they are purposing to accomplish and to gain. Typically, these individuals are motivated by power or wealth, and although a consensus has been reached that greed is a common and inevitable part of human nature, people seem to hold different attitudes regarding greed. In fact, greed is highly valued in some organizations and in some societies. And even many economists tend to believe that greed can be a good thing. They claim that greed can be the driving force behind much economic development. So these individuals who are not only seeking to accomplish what it is for their own selfish gain, these things can sometimes be in the best interest of society. And so they can eventually engage in activities that are actually beneficial to society as a whole, although that's not their intended goal. The underlying logic of this proposition is that greed promotes individual performance, which in turn benefits the development of organizations and society. So on one side of the coin, greed, although it is motivated by selfish ambition, can ultimately benefit society by the creative and out-of-the-box thinking that it ultimately forces the individual into in order to accomplish what it is that they're hoping to obtain. Now, on the flip side of that, amongst many religions, they treat greed as being immoral and evil. It makes people focus on their own personal fulfillment and their own satisfaction, and they ignore their norms, their beliefs, their principles, and their values. And so this focus may explain why greed is associated with negative behaviors like fraud, deceptions, theft, corruption, and other unethical behaviors. So whereas it can provide individuals the latitude to think outside of the box, those individuals also can end up forsaking their principles and their morals and their values in order to be able to establish things that will ultimately lead to their own self-destruction. So greed may often distort a person's perception of distributive justice, which may in turn hold them back from devoting themselves to their work fully. And so to sum everything up, there are two different paths that may exist through greed that could simultaneously have both positive and negative impacts. One of the very powerful books that really illustrates this is by Jordan Belfort, and it's called Way of the Wolf, and it was actually turned into a movie. Many of you may have heard of it, called The Wolf of Wall Street. And so it's based on his very effective and popular system called the straight line selling system. And in this book, Mr. Belfort goes into this system and how he takes ordinary people and he teaches them how to sell, and they become very effective, but ultimately they forsake their morals and values in order to be able to get the sale. And these individuals that become these successful salesmen or salespersons, they ultimately end up destroying themselves because their moral compass is destroyed. So it is a perfect example of how, by adopting a greed mentality and not allowing ourselves to remain focused on ensuring that we're being governed by the right beliefs and principles, while it may stoke our creativity, it can also enter not only our destruction, but the moral destruction of our society as well. Hey, listen, everyone, thank you so much for tuning into this Chosen Lifeline for Men. Why don't you reach out and let's have a conversation about your individual path. And so would love to speak with you about your particular goals and missions and things that you're purposing to accomplish in your life. Again, my name is Walter Jennings, your chosen life practitioner, where I've been called to challenge and, if necessary, change the motivation, mentality, and mettle of